Hey everyone, we're back with the Sons of Sequoia podcast.
SOS number 8.
And in honor of number 8, today's episode will be about Yogi Berra, aka Yogi, the man with the most World Series championships in the history of Major League Baseball. And what do you like to call him?
The greatest philosopher of the 20th century.
The
He has
greatest.
more quips than anyone. He has more sayings than anyone.
Yes, he does.
He's quoted by everybody.
Great.
But also he has a great history too. He was a very good baseball player. He just was very practical, and he was a good person, a very good person.
Yeah, just doing a little bit of research on him, it was you end up liking the guy, you know?
Yeah. He was crazy. He was good. I mean, there's so many stories about Yogi. So many stories. He was just a nice person, and upstanding too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one time, we could tell a lot of stories about Yogi, but the kind of guy he was. One story, and I don't know if these true stories are true. I just heard these. I haven't researched him out or anything, but he was at some kind of a meeting where they were recognizing him for his baseball accomplishments, and they couldn't find him, and they were looking for him. And I got the story wrong, but the gist of the story was they couldn't find Yogi. He was supposed to be on the platform or something, and they found him in the back lot playing stickball with a bunch of young boys.
That's awesome.
And so I don't know what the story was, but that just stuck in my mind. That's the kind of person he was. He'll play in the street. He'll play in the backyard. He'll just play with people. He's just a really nice guy.
He won 10 championships. He was an 18-time All-Star. So, I mean, he had bona fides as a player, but he's also, I think, mostly remembered for his quips and his sayings. But I mean, he knew what he was doing. He was a great player.
Yeah, he's a great manager too.
3 MVPs.
Yeah, they said they feared pitching to him more than anyone because, they'll say, Yogi, that ball was over your head and you swung at it and you hit it and you got a base hit, but why did you swing at the ball over your head? That was out of the zone. And he said, looked good to me.
Yeah.
And he had hit it for a base hit. I mean, he'd hit anything and everything. If he wanted to hit it, it didn't matter. I think that's his stickball days.
Yeah.
You better hit it because they may not throw to you again.
Yeah, so he was a cool guy. And I don't know, maybe we should chit-chat a little bit more about his history and stuff before we get into the sayings. But I think the sayings will end up taking up the bulk of this hour because Yogi's sayings are classic,
Yeah, they are.
But yeah, he was, let's see here, a Navy gunner in World War II. And he participated in the Normandy landings where he got a Purple Heart. Like, that's pretty amazing. All before the age of 21. And Branch Rickey, the famous Cardinals GM, said that he'd be nothing more than because he's from St. Louis, said he didn't look like anything more than a AAA player. Passed on him. But after the war, he had interest from the Mets, the Giants, and the Yankees, and he ended up with the Yankees. And of course, the rest is history. And he sort of bridged the gap between the DiMaggio era and the Mantle era.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I never saw him play while he was playing. You did, right?
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, Kathy, she went to Yankee Stadium, and she says she'd wave at him coming off the field and says, "Hi, Yogi." And he says, "Hi." He'd wave to the stands and
That's
say
awesome.
hi to him.
Yeah, he was
A lot of the players didn't, but he would.
He was a little before my time. And I think that his last managing job was before I was born. Yeah, number 8. That was my number when I played baseball. That was number 8.
Great number.
Mm-hmm.
The snowman.
Yeah.
The snowman number.
So let's see. Yeah, he was a World War II veteran. He was a 10-time champion, 18-time All-Star. And yeah, he managed some World Series wins too, didn't he?
He did. Hmm. He knew baseball quite well, and he knew people well,
Mm-hmm.
and he just had a way of expressing himself. He says we disagree, but we agree, but we just agree differently.
We agreed different.
We agree different. Uh-huh.
Uh, I saw from the Yes Network, it's a YouTube video. Yes is Yankees Entertainment and Sports or whatever. Their play-by-play guy, when Yogi died in 2015, he told a couple stories. He said he shared a picture he had of Yogi from the year before, 2014, when they honored Paul O'Neill. And Yogi was 89 and he was in poor health and he was in a wheelchair. But they allow, it was Paul O'Neill Day. And so they give Paul O'Neill a luxury box for his friends and his family. And so Paul O'Neill shows up and he sees his family and his friends. And then sitting in the corner is Yogi Berra in a wheelchair. And he ignores everyone and he walks right to Yogi and he says, "Oh my God, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming." And Yogi was just cool as day. He's like, "Oh, I wouldn't miss it for the world. You invited me, so I showed up." That type of thing. And like it meant everything to Paul O'Neill that Yogi would show up to his Paul O'Neill Day. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. He was a nice guy. He was a funny guy. Yeah, his sayings will live forever because they weren't just funny. They were meaningful. And I think that's why they've lasted so long, that when he said it, they had meaning. And that's just the way he expressed himself. And actually it's a device where, when people use humor, you laugh, but makes you think about it. When you think about it, you see the logic behind it. And he was a natural at that. He'd say things funny, but then you think, what? You go, oh, I see what you mean. And he would make people think.
Yeah. I read
Yeah,
his book that you had. I think it was called It Ain't Over. And there was a story that stuck with me. I forget the details, of course. I should have looked this up. But he was talking about how this guy coached. He was a third base coach. And he was a good third base coach because if there was a guy on second and there was a base hit, he would always wildly gesticulate whether the person should stay at third or they should turn the corner and go home. And he put everything into that. And so there was no ambiguity about what the runner should do coming from second. And he's like, and that made him a good third base coach. And he's like, and it's a little thing, but in baseball, the difference between winning and losing is a whole lot of those little things. And I think that's kind of true in life as well. The little things you do, they don't actually have that much significance. But if you do a lot of them, they start to.
Yeah. That's good. It's right. It's true. The life is just full of a lot of little things, and so many things that Yogi would say had a lot of meaning, And yeah, we should get the book and start going through some of his sayings.
Yeah, I could probably just Google it, right? Yogi Berra.
I mean, some of the classic, it ain't over till it's over, and when you come to a fork in the road, take it. But his book explains the context in which he spoke those, and they meant something. You do have a fork in the road, but it's not a turn. You're going straight, but then there's a fork here, but you take the fork, you don't go straight. So it did have a meaning. It wasn't just left field. Because if you think about it, he was catcher, right? The catcher is the only baseball player that faces the field. Everyone else faces home plate. And so the catcher is like the captain on the field because he's the one, because he's not on the field. He technically he's out of bounds. And so he's the one that can take directions from the bullpen. I mean, from the dugout, from the coaches. And so he's the one who's actually giving the signals. He's the one that can give signals to the pitcher. He's the one that gives signals to the players. Uh, so the catcher has to know the game. And I think that's why he was such a good manager, because as a catcher so many years, he understood the game. And he understood the game more than just the game. He understood the game of the game. What I mean by that is that so many stories is, yeah, I think it was Boog Powell that he says, yeah, I came up there and every time I was batting, Yogi just be talking to me. He'd just be talking to me. He said, how you doing? How you doing? What are you doing afterward? How's your wife? Yeah. Oh, you're pretty good? Yeah. You been fishing lately? What'd you catch? And he'll be talking, boom, strike one. Says, yeah, I went the other day and I caught a really big bass. Boom, strike two. I really hope you have a good time and you really should get out. And boom, strike three. Before you know it, I struck out. And he had a game within a game. And he wasn't mean. He was just always talking, And so many stories like that. I think, oh, that's not fair. That's the game within the game. And he wasn't mean. He was just, if you'll talk to him, he'll talk to you. And he'd talk to you just like he'd talk to when he got there. Well, I think he got I read here, an award from the president. Was it the Presidential Medal of Freedom? After he died by President Obama. But the thing of it is that he could talk to anyone the same, and that which is really cool. What'd you find?
I'm looking at some of his quotes. Yeah, it's too bad that it was posthumous. I mean, now they give presidential medals of freedom to anyone. Well, Trump did.
Which is,
and he sort of cheapened it. But did you see this? Obama and giving him the posthumous Presidential Medal of Freedom. He said, one thing we know for sure, if you can't imitate him, don't copy him.
Okay. Yogiisms.
The interview with the Yes Network guy, it was right after he died. The guy started tearing up. He said he and Phil Rizzuto were lifelong friends. And when Phil Rizzuto was in failing health, Yogi would go to Phil Rizzuto's assisted living facility every single day and sit there with him and hold his hand until he fell asleep. And that was the type of guy and type of friend that he was. And when the guy told that story, he started tearing up because it was very shortly after Yogi died. That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Economist named him the wisest fool of the past 50 years.
Yeah. He was, well, I think he was very practical, and he would say things like the Yogiisms, but it wasn't just being funny. It was being practical, and it was his way of saying it. I mean, and I think, I don't know. Sometimes I felt like he was so into what he was saying and meaning what he was saying, he didn't always understand how other people would take it. I mean, I remember one time, I think it was mayor of New York and his wife was on a ceremonial platform. And again, I probably got the story wrong, but this is the gist of it. They were on this platform and it was hot. It was really hot. And so he was sitting there, and across the aisle was the mayor's wife. And so the mayor's wife turned to Yogi and says, well, Yogi, you look nice, cool, calm, and collected on this really hot day. And Yogi looked at her and said, well, thank you. Yeah, you don't look so hot yourself. He meant that in a positive way, and sometimes it comes out and says, well, you know what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what he means, because he's not the kind of person who would be mean to people. But it would come out from Yogi. You can take it from Yogi because you know where it's coming from. He has no malice intended. I think that says a lot about his character.
Should we start going through some of the? I have the USA Today top 50 greatest quotes pulled
Okay.
up. Number
Okay.
one is when you come to a fork in the road, take it. Now people like
Yeah,
that one. I think that's
he's
just sort
go
of.
ahead.
I mean, it's conflating a fork in the road with like a dining utensil in the road. That's why people think it's funny. I don't think that one's one of the more profound ones. Did you say that he explained that one?
Yeah, he explained that one. He says, "Oh, I was giving him directions, you know, and there was a fork in the road." He says, "But don't go straight. Take the fork." So it wasn't a 90-degree turn. It wasn't 90 degrees. It was a veering, and he called it a
Mm-hmm.
fork. So when you come to that fork, he'll go ahead and take it. So, oh, I see what you mean, but it's going to come out very differently.
Yeah. So number two, you can observe a lot just by watching. Uh,
Yeah,
I think I think that's true. I mean, that's kind of profound. I like it.
I do too. I do too. And when you say the same thing two different ways, you think, what's the difference? Oh, okay, I see. Just, you can talk, but listen more than you talk.
Yeah. Or
You've
I
heard that
mean,
before.
if you try to show someone something and they're on their phone the whole time, and you know that they didn't really, take it to heart, it's disheartening.
Yep.
Uh,
I don't know the context of that, but I can see in the dugout in a baseball game, you're in the dugout, you're sitting there talking about, well, we should do this, we should do this, we should do that, we should do that. And Yogi says, well, uh, you just look at the game. Look what's happening out there. Look what people are doing and what we can do. And you can observe a lot if you just look, if you have to watch, And I don't know if they meant that, but I know that's very, very true. Because when you play baseball and life, you have to really be aware of what's going on around you.
mm-hmm. Yeah, you get too caught up in the space between your ears. You overthink it. You don't just look at what's going on and get a lay of the land from what's actually happening.
Yeah. You got to physically actually be active in watching,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can observe things.
Yeah, I think I mean, it's kind of profound. That one's
I think
profound.
so too. It is.
This one's a classic. It ain't over till it's over.
To me, that's profound.
Yeah.
Because I don't know the context, but I know in baseball, it ain't over till that last out,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, no, you keep going. There's always if there's a chance, you keep going, you keep doing it. It ain't over. Don't check out until it's done. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
And I
that's
mean,
kind of profound too.
it applies a lot to baseball because baseball's the only game without a clock. If you're playing basketball and you're down 120 to 80 with 1 minute left, there's no way you're going to win. It's over. But
It is.
but in baseball, you could be down 10-1 in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs, and you could stage a miraculous ninth inning 2 out rally and win that game because there's no clock.
Yeah,
And I guess in life too, there's really no clock also.
not
So
really.
life is like baseball. Like if you suffer setbacks, if you're losing, it's not over. You
No,
can
it ain't.
keep going.
That's right. There is a lot of application in life. Uh, there's no clock in life. You just keep going. You don't stop.
There's no crying in baseball, and there's no clock in baseball.
Yeah, I don't think Yogi said there's no crying in
That was
baseball.
from League of Their Own. That was Tom Hanks.
Yeah, yeah. Tom Hanks, League of Their Own.
Um, Number four. We got 50 of these, so if we do about a minute on each one, we'll get to about an hour. It's like deja vu all over again. Um, I think this one's it's more of a malaprop than like philosophical statement, at least to me anyway. Um, but I guess you could have deja vu more than once, right?
Yeah, I don't know. When it comes from Yogi, my feeling is that he says déjà vu. Yeah, it's a French word, it's a French saying, and he knew what it meant in French, but he wanted to make sure the people around him knew what he meant in English. You know, it's kind of like come see, come saw. It can come and go. A little this, little that.
Mm-hmm.
You can say a word that's common or a phrase that's common in another language, but everyone may not understand that language of the people he's around,
Mm-hmm.
especially baseball players. Uh, and so you have to kind of like, yeah, and clarify it to make it a little bit more clear for the people that are listening. To me, that's what it seems to me like.
I also think, like, from a baseball perspective, and I think this is true in life also, this is why Yogi's the greatest philosopher of the 20th century. Deja vu is a French word that means you see twice seen, basically.
Hmm.
Um, so in baseball, you may see something happen twice, a number of times. Like in a game or in a situation where a certain guy is up, with the game on the line. And you're like, oh, wait, and it's in back to back games and it's in September. But you remember in July, the same thing happened. The guy was up in back to back games. So it was deja vu. 2 days in a row, the same guy is called on to bat for the game. But it's happening all over again because baseball is like this iterative thing where you play the same game 162 times a year. So if you're ever going to have deja vu all over again, it would be in playing and managing a game like baseball.
I think that's a much better explanation of that. I think that's a very good explanation, David, because that's true in baseball. When you manage a game and you see situations, that's where experience comes in, and that's what Yogi was a master at. He says, I've been here before. I know what could happen, and I know what's likely to happen if I make these decisions. And so a lot of it is not an equation. It is experience because it's not just what can happen, is that what can happen with these players at this time in this situation, that type of thing. And that's why you can put in people that maybe you don't expect to come through, but they do come through because you've been in this situation before and you know what could happen. I think you're right, David. I think that's a great way to explain that one. And that's a really good one. Again, I guess deja vu all over again is not totally different than you can you can you can was it you can
uh,
see a lot by observing.
observe a lot by watching.
You can observe a lot by watching because the deja vu is not going to mean anything unless you actually observe by watching,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Here, I'm gonna put the URL I'm using in the chat so you can have it as well in the
Oh,
Skype chat.
okay.
That way you can pull it up and you could be looking at the same thing that I am.
Okie dokie.
Do you see it?
I'm getting to it. There we go. Yeah, cool. Oh, wow. Yeah,
We got a
got
lot.
it.
We got a lot to go. Number 5. No one goes there nowadays. It's too crowded.
It's so true.
I always thought it was no one goes there anymore. It's too crowded. Uh, I'm gonna pull up another article.
I'm with you, Yogi. I'm with you. I hate to go someplace that's everybody's there. It's just, I like to go someplace that's calm. Wasn't he talking about a restaurant?
I think so. Yeah. Um, I get it. I don't really like crowds.
Yeah.
I see a crowd and I bow out. It's no. It's not for me.
Hmm.
And he might be talking about like his friends or people in your age group. As I got older, you go out to the bars and they're packed, and you're in your 20s. Then you get into your 30s and it's like that doesn't really sound like that much fun, you know? And so,
Yeah.
and everyone you know sort of starts to sort of feel the same way. So it's like, yeah, no one I know goes there anymore. It's too crowded. It's too much of a mob scene. Now, this next one, number 6, I feel like I've heard this one attributed to Casey Stengel. And I think a lot of Stengelisms get attributed to Yogi. But it's
Could be.
baseball is 90% mental, the other half is physical.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to look up some Casey Stengel quotes. Because I believe... Now, do you remember Casey Stengel?
Well, he was a little before my time, but I remember stories about Casey Stengel. I mean, when I was real little, yeah, but not. I don't remember him that much. He was he was a character too. But he would say things like this, that, well, that's not right, but I know what you mean. It takes both, and I think it's like sometimes, especially baseball, you're sitting there. It's 90%. It's 90% mental before you get up to the plate,
Mm-hmm.
and once you're up there, then half of that's going to be physical, and so it ain't one thing all the time, because it's baseball is real fast and wait real fast with it, and then think. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Okay, then the ball's hit. Boom! You gotta react, and so it is a combination of physical and skill. And mental, knowing what to do before it happens. It's not just physical. You might be a great physical player, but if your head's not in the game, it's not going to work. The math isn't there, 90% and 50%, but the gist of what is being said is there.
Mm-hmm. A nickel ain't worth a dime anymore. That's another Yogiism. That one makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. One's literal and one's figurative.
Yeah.
It's just funny coming out that way, which is true today, which is going to be always true. The older you get,
That's
the
inflation.
more true that saying is. A nickel ain't worth a dime anymore.
Always go to other people's funerals, otherwise they won't come to yours.
Yeah, yeah, that one's a good one.
I mean, that one's obviously silly, but it reminds me of Grandma Flo.
Uh-huh.
It's like if you get invited to do something, you go do it, because you might not always get invited.
That's right.
That was her. If someone says, "Hey, do you want to do this?" You say, "Yeah," because you may not ever get another chance again. Or if you say no, they won't invite you the next time.
That's right. That's right. So, the implication here is that they're not going to come to your funeral if they're dead, but I don't think that's what he meant. That's what it came across. And to go to other people's funerals, because the people that go there won't come to yours.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny how it came out.
Yeah.
He knows how he meant it.
Uh-huh.
And I think a lot of yogism, he knows how he meant it, and the way he said it is the way he meant it. Okay? And he's trusting the people listening to what he's saying to understand it the way he meant it. So there's a connection there.
Yeah.
That's why he's a great philosopher, the great philosopher of the 20th century.
It makes you think. He's like a sage. His sayings. Number 9. We made too many wrong mistakes.
That's true.
That reminds me of I'm looking at these Casey Stengels quotes. Casey Stengel in Baseball Digest in 1972 said, "Yogi Berra could fall in a sewer and come up with a gold watch." That's what Casey Stengel said. So I think Yogi, they might make mistakes, but it all turns out. But if you make mistakes and it doesn't turn out, that's a wrong mistake. I think that's what he means.
Uh-huh.
Like sometimes you screw up and it all works out and you just sort of go along with it. You say, "Oh, that's what I meant to do," I made a mistake, but there was no downside. But I think that if you make a mistake and there is a downside, that's a wrong mistake. And if you make too many of those, and in baseball, a lot of the things you can do are technically wrong, but they don't end up hurting you. You know,
You'll make a lot of mistakes in baseball, a lot of mistakes, and some of them are worse than others. Yeah,
you don't go for the double play. The guy ends up on second. The next guy strikes out, and it's not a big deal. But the next guy hits a home run. That's 2 runs when it would have been the end of the inning.
that's
That's a
right.
wrong mistake.
Yeah, if you make too many of them, you're going to lose the game.
Should we move on?
Yeah.
I knew the record would stand until it was broken. I like that one. That's sort of like it's always in the last place you look, right?
Yeah, same idea, you know. Oh, you always found it in the last place you look. Yeah, why would you keep on looking? And the record would stand until it was broken.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he knew it. Yogi knew it.
But the saying says, "Congratulations." I knew the record would stand until it was broken. I think what he meant by that, I don't know, the way I take it, is that it's a way to congratulate someone and being very kind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was going to stand, but you broke it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. He's being
You're the one
nice.
who broke it. You're the one who broke it. No one else broke it until you broke it, because it was going to stand until it was broken, and you did it. So it's his way of being congratulatory.
Mm-hmm. This one's a classic. You better cut the pizza in 4 pieces because I'm not hungry enough to eat 6.
Uh-huh. I think that's his Italian heritage back in New York.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you'll always cut it in 8 pieces, but then he says, "No, let's just cut half of it in 4,"
Yeah, maybe.
because if you cut it in 6, the whole pie in 6 is more than just 8, and then 4 of the. I don't know. Who
Yeah,
knows?
I think you just gotta go with it.
Just got
Maybe
to go with it. I don't know what he meant by that. I don't know what he meant by that.
you may have just been wrong. Uh, you wouldn't have won if we'd beaten you. That's true.
That's true. Yeah, you can't argue with that. You know, it's just, yeah, but it's kind of like that's a great way. It's a great comeback to someone who beat you, and like someone is arrogant and flaunting their win, and haha, I beat you, I beat you. Well, that's a because especially in baseball, any given day, and that's why they have a series. Any given day, a team could beat another team. Any given day, anybody on that bench could be a hero. That's the beauty of baseball. So yeah, today you won, but you wouldn't have won if I'd beaten you, because tomorrow I may beat you.
Mm-hmm.
So never think you're invincible in baseball, and never think you're invincible in life either.
Yeah.
No matter how smart you are, there's other people smarter.
Or they'll just get lucky.
So sometimes you get lucky.
Yeah, sometimes your luck
Yeah.
runs out.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. I usually take a 2-hour nap from 1 to 4. I get this one. It's like you might sleep from 1 to 3 and then sort of wake up and sort of be groggy from 3 to 4. Or you might sleep from 2 to 4, but you're sort of preparing to take a nap from 1 to 2. I get it. It takes him 3 hours to take a 2-hour nap. Like that's basically what he's saying, I think. And that's true. I mean,
Yeah.
there's things in my life. It's like I like to go for a walk every day, and I take an hour and a half walk. It takes me 2 hours. I got to get my shoes on, get my earbuds in, cue up the news, go for a walk. I come back, I have to take my shoes off. Like gearing up and gearing down. It's an hour and a half walk, but it takes me 2 hours. So I can see why his 2-hour nap would take him 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Never answer an anonymous letter.
Yeah, there's got to be a context around that one.
Well, how are you going to answer it?
There's got to be. He probably meant something different than an anonymous letter. I don't know.
Well, also, it's impossible to answer an anonymous letter.
I know, but that's what I mean. He probably meant never answer a different type of letter. But
This is what I think. I think he got in a letter, and it was like heartfelt, but it was from an anonymous source. And he sat down with a pen and paper and he wrote a letter. And then he went to send it to the person that sent it. And then he realized that it was anonymous. And he just wasted an hour writing to someone who had written him an anonymous letter. And he learned the lesson. Never answer an anonymous letter. You don't have anyone to send it to. I think that he actually responded. He did answer an anonymous letter. And that's why he's giving you that piece of advice.
He's trying to help you out.
Yeah.
That's what I learned.
It,
That's what I learned.
It happened to him.
It could be.
Because if you get fan mail and you're like, oh, I'll respond to 10 a week or whatever, and you get a fan mail and you're like, oh, and you get done responding to the fan mail and you're like, okay, send this to the fan. Oh, wait. They didn't sign it. It's anonymous. There's no return address. Like, I can't send it. I just wasted my time answering an anonymous letter. I kind of feel like he did, right? It's plausible.
It's very possible. That sounds like Yogi. Very possible.
All right, number 15. We have a lot to go. 36 to go. Slump. I ain't in no slump. I just ain't hitting.
Yeah.
I think a slump feels different. I don't know when he said this in his career, but when you're in a slump, it feels like something's wrong with you. I think maybe he felt like everything was right with him. He just wasn't connecting,
Yeah. Not hitting in a slump are two different things. When you're in a slump, nothing's going right. You can't do anything right, no matter what you do. But sometimes you just don't hit. Sometimes you just don't hit that ball, and it could be a lot of different reasons. It's not a slump, which is a good point. A slump is naming something like, "Oh, that's what you are in," and he's saying, "No, I'm not in that. I'm just not hitting." So just because you do something, you can't really name it to something which is bigger than what it is. It's something just real simple. I'm just not hitting.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make it into something it's not.
Yeah. Number 16. How can you think and hit at the same time?
That's a great way to say it. I think it's just overthinking things. People overthink things all the time. You think. Wait a minute, stop thinking and just do it. You can't be hitting and start thinking about what the next pitch is going to be. Just hit the pitch when it comes. And he did. If he wanted to hit the ball, he was going to hit it no matter where it was.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be a strike for him to hit it.
I think, people will ask questions and stuff, and they want to know minute details about things, and it's because they're just trying to avoid doing it. Like hitting. Oh, do you think I should, have slight separation on the bat, or do you think I should change my swing or have a bigger step or smaller step? And it's like, you can't think about those things. You got to go up there and do it. I think that it's true in life too. You'll try to understand something to avoid doing it.
Well, the best way to learn something is just do it.
I
17.
I love this one. The future ain't what it used to be.
That will always be true, and it's just a great way to say it. It's so succinct. Again, he coming through as a great philosopher. It's a great way to say it. The future ain't what it used to be.
That one's, I think, pretty profound. Like you said, it will always be true. But you hear someone say that the future ain't what it used to be, and you say to yourself, he's right. I agree with that. I never heard it that way before, but he's right, and I agree with him. That's how I feel about that saying. Number 18. I tell the kids, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. Just don't fight about it. Just try to get better.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah, that's not really like a funny or clever quote. It's just straightforward advice.
I think I don't know if you watched it. I don't know if you've been watch the news this morning. We've been watching the news, and stay away from political stuff today in the news. But hey, that could be directed toward people today I tell the kids, hey, kids, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. Just stop. Don't fight about it. Just try to get better.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty darn. That's pretty darn profound if you think about it.
Yeah.
Uh, we could say that to a lot. We could direct that to a lot of groups of people today that we're watching on the news.
Yeah, I think that's very true. This next one, I like this one. It gets late early out here. I like that one because it's like it's wintertime now, and it does get late early. I think
Yep.
maybe, if you're playing further north, like in spring training, they used to have spring training down in Florida. And, that's pretty early in the year. I mean, it's February, March. And then you go all the way up to New York, and you're further north, and you realize the sun sets a little bit earlier than it does in Florida. I mean, that's basically how it works, right?
Yeah.
So it does get, I mean, it gets dark. I think he means dark,
Yeah.
but he says it gets late early out here.
It gets late. Early. It gets late early out here.
Or maybe he's talking about, he did run with Mickey Mantle and all those hard drinking guys, and they might have played in some cities where there was no nightlife. In New York, those guys, they'd be out until 2, 3, 4 in the morning, chasing women and drinking. But you go play a game in Kansas City, maybe that nightlife wasn't there, and everyone turned in at midnight, and it's like, oh, it gets late early out here in Kansas City. That could be it too, right?
Yeah, Bobby Richardson, Whitey Ford.
And especially Mickey Mantle. He was seemed like the
Mickey.
kingpin of the partiers.
Yeah.
Uh,
He was a fun guy to be around. He was just a fun guy.
he had 2 liver transplants because of it.
That's true. It's
uh,
true.
if the people don't want to come out to the ballpark, nobody's going to stop them.
I love that. That's just something you just say, hey, wait a minute. You can try and have this and that. And says, wait a minute. If people don't want to do it, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
They don't. Yeah. I had the conversation the other day about analytics. Well, I think we should use these analytics, and maybe we should have these kind of forecasting. Wait a minute. If people don't like the product, it doesn't matter what you do in marketing, they're not going to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true in baseball. If they don't want to come, no one's going to stop them.
No one's going to stop them.
It's a funny way to say it. But there again, the brilliance and genius of Yogi can say it in such a way to make you stop and think about what he said and then understand what he says to really make it impactful.
Mm-hmm.
I
Let's
love
see
it.
here. We have deep depth.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one.
I think that's just like, yeah, we have depth, but it's deep. Like our team, we have a strong pitching staff, but our number 4 starter is as good as your number 2 starter. Our depth is
Yeah.
deeper than yours.
Our depth is deeper than your depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, how would you describe more depth? You describe it as deep depth.
Deep depth. Yeah. Yeah. If you're a manager baseball, you know exactly what he's saying.
Uh-huh. Pair up in threes, number 22. That makes sense.
It does.
It makes perfect sense.
Pair up is figurative and threes is literal.
Uh-huh.
Would you say that? Yeah. I like I think Casey Stengel, he would say oh, now I forget what he said. Let me think. Everyone line up alphabetically according to height.
Yeah.
Something like that. Alphabetically according to height. It's, huh? And I think what he meant was just line up.
Um,
23.
why buy good luggage? You only use it when you travel. That one's more of a joke than anything.
Yeah, but the other one, wait a minute, there's got to be another one about luggage,
About the suitcases and the towels at the hotel.
about the suitcases and the towels.
I'm sure it'll be later.
Yeah, because that's a great one because that you think and then you realize exactly what he's saying. which reveals baseball players. But why buy good luggage? You only use it when you travel. Because actually, when you travel, I guess back then no one sees it.
Yeah. Um, I mean, you could
24.
you could say that about like people that spend ungodly amounts of money on like Louis Vuitton luggage.
Hmm.
It's like it's a status symbol, and it's like there's no way that luggage is worth thousands of dollars. It's just a bag. 24. You've got to be very careful if you don't know where you're going because you might not get there.
Uh-huh.
Uh, 20.
That's very true.
Yeah. 25. All pitchers are liars or crybabies.
Ooh,
Com-
that's 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 wicked
Coming from a catcher.
coming from a catcher.
I like this next one. Number 26. Even Napoleon had his Watergate.
Yeah, no matter how big you are, you can fall.
That's a malapropism though. Napoleon had Waterloo. Nixon had Watergate.
That's
That
true.
that's why it's funny.
Well, it's funny because one is Napoleon, the other is Nixon. So he's saying, no, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It could be
I
anyone.
I mean he's just mixing up Waterloo and Watergate because
Right, right.
Napoleon didn't have his Watergate.
No. But the point is, you're going to have, anyway, he just mixed it up, but you think and go, oh, you mean Waterloo. Oh, Watergate, Nixon. Oh, and it just emphasizes what he's trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. He's a genius.
Uh,
Sometimes by mistake, but he's a genius. Okay.
27. Bill Dickey is learning me his experience. That one makes sense.
It does make sense. It does
He's
make sense.
he's sharing his experience with me, and I'm learning from it. It's
Yep.
it's an economy of words. Why use
Uh-huh.
many words when few will do?
Yep. I'm sure there's a razor about that.
Mm-hmm. 28. He hits from both sides of the plate. He's amphibious.
Again.
That's just, he mixes it up, and it's clear that he just was thinking of a different word, but it's still funny. But I don't think it's as profound as some of the others.
Yeah, it just makes you think. And actually, to me, that's a device when I was young. I noticed people would do that. If they want to make a point, they want people to listen to them, they'll say it in such a way that has poor English or the wrong verb, you know, and it says, wait a minute, that you didn't say that right. You say it this way, and it makes the person say what you wanted to say,
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think he didn't mean it that way, but that's the effect it has.
Number 29. It was impossible to get a conversation going. Everybody was talking too much.
I did. It's so true.
Yeah, I've been in situations like that.
Me too. Everyone's going a mile a minute and you go, you can't hear what anyone's saying. They're
Mm-hmm.
not talking to you, they're talking to themselves. Just hearing themselves talk, you can't really talk to anyone because everyone's saying something and no one's listening.
I can see how Sandy Koufax won 25 games. What I don't understand is how he lost 5. Basically, he was that good that year. Is that what he's
Yeah,
saying?
he was really good. Yeah, how in the world did you lose? Yeah, he's really good.
I don't know if they were men or women fans running naked across the field. They had bags over their heads. That was a
Yeah,
that was a thing in the 70s, wasn't it? Streaking.
very, very much so. They had streaking in baseball too, because you could get out of the stands and run across the field, and streaking was a big thing in the 70s. Yeah.
Yeah, I think baseball, because there's 162 games in a season. It's not like football. You can't have that stringent of security all the time. They have
Hmm.
this big field. They're playing 162 games. Uh, like
For the
football,
last 50, yeah, the last 50 years, you had stands. I mean, before that, people would earlier in the last century, people wouldn't even have stands. They just come and sit along the back from the foul line, but they would just sit on the field.
yeah, I mean not the 20th century. The 20th century you had stadiums.
Yeah, but
Or you're
like in
talking
the
about
19th,
the 19th
yeah,
century? Yeah.
right. They just sit on the field. And some of the AAA back in the 20s and 30s, yeah, you just come and sit on the field.
Well, I mean, we've been to spring training, and there's certain spring trainings, at least when we went 10 years ago, uh, where it's just a big grass field out in the outfield. And you just bring a blanket and you lay it down and you just sit on this grassy knoll and watch the game. That's kind of cool. It's sort of like going to a high school baseball game or a little league game,
Hmm.
only it's
Hmm.
professionals. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, me too. It was
I,
great.
I also enjoyed at spring training you can get very good seats where you're 10 feet away from the pros, as they do their thing. I'd
And
like,
then we were so close. People in the stands would be comment to the players, and they would talk back.
uh huh.
You're right there.
It's
You know,
hard.
you're like,
It's hard to get seats that good at a regular season game. The area behind the plate is wider, and those tickets are prohibitively expensive.
mhm,
Should we keep going? Because we have 18 left in about 10 minutes.
okay.
Uh, I'm a lucky guy, and I'm happy to be with the Yankees. And I want to thank everyone for making this night necessary. That was at Yogi Berra Day when they honored him. I'd like to thank everyone who made this night necessary. I like that one.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times when there's pomp and circumstance around you, you sort of feel like it's more for the benefit of the organization or the people that are in charge of putting it together. And you would be fine without a honorific, but it would also really hurt the people that are in charge of those sort of things not to be able to do it for you. So they're the ones that are making it necessary. So you have to be there because they made it necessary. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I think that one, I like that one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy my kids an encyclopedia. Let them walk to school like I did.
Yeah.
No.
Again, the wrong words. That's great.
In baseball, you don't know nothing.
I'm not really sure what does he mean? What does he mean by that, David? Does it mean like anything could happen and whatever you think could be right, could be wrong? You
I
just
think
don't know.
so. And it's like anyone that claims that they know what's going to happen is wrong.
That's right.
You're functioning on percentages.
That's right.
So you can make like it's like in poker. If you get your money in good and you lose, you did the right thing. Uh, because if you get your money in like that over the course of your poker playing career, you'll end up making money. But in that specific instance, you lost money. You know? I
Yep.
think that's what he's saying.
Hmm.
I never blame myself when I'm not hitting. I just blame the bat. And if it keeps up, I change bats. After all, if I know it isn't my fault that I'm not hitting, how can I get mad at myself? So don't blame yourself, and then you don't get mad at yourself and you don't make it worse. I think
That's right.
that's like I'm not in a slump, I'm just not hitting. So if you
Yeah.
start to get mad at yourself, you compound it. It becomes a feedback loop, and things get worse.
You can be your worst enemy.
I never said most of the things I said.
Yeah, he's mixing it up,
Uh huh.
because some of the things he didn't say, or maybe didn't say it exactly that way, or who
Or
knows.
there's stuff that's sort of like something he said, and someone just attributes that also to him. You know.
That's true.
I always like this one. This is just it's a malaprop, but I like it. It ain't the heat, it's the humility.
Uh-huh.
I like that one a lot.
Again, again, he switches the words to make an emphasis.
If you ask me anything I don't know, I'm not gonna answer.
That's more profound than you think, because so many people are asked questions they don't know, but they'll make up an answer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's discipline. So, I mean, I don't know is a very good answer if that's the right answer.
Yeah, like Dr. Fauci said.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's refreshing to be able to say I don't know when you don't know the answer to something. I wasn't able to do that for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Not to get
So
too into
Fau
politics,
yeah,
but
so Fauci was really doing he was really spinning off a yogiism.
mm-hmm. Uh 39. I wish everybody had the drive Joe DiMaggio had. He never did anything wrong on the field. I'd never see him dive for a ball. Everything was a chest high catch, and he never walked off the field. Interesting.
Yeah. Huh. He,
He always
he
ran off the
never.
field. He was always in the right position to catch the ball because he was always alert. He was observing a lot by watching.
He was observing a lot by watching. He knew what was going on. I'd never seen him dive for a ball because he was always in the right place. There
Mm-hmm.
again, that's the 90% mental.
Yeah. Or it's the little
There
things that make a difference over a long period of time.
you Uh-huh.
So I'm ugly. I never saw anyone hit with his face.
Yeah, very true.
Number
I'm not.
41. Take it with a grin of salt.
I get- okay.
That one's silly.
Yeah.
Number
Again.
number 42 on the 1973 Mets. We're overwhelming underdogs. I like that one.
Yeah, I like that one too. Hey, that's clever. Very clever because that's a good way to get everyone on your side, especially if you're the Mets.
Yeah. Here's the one about the hotel that you were looking for.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
The towels were so thick there I could hardly close my suitcase.
Yeah, that was a saying. I think the bigger saying was is this, oh, that's a really nice hotel. He says, "Oh, I know that. That's a nice hotel. The towels were so thick there, we could hardly close our suitcases." Yeah. No, he was
Stealing
trying
towels.
to, yeah, but he was trying to say this is a nice hotel, really
Mm-hmm.
nice. They're so thick you can't close your suitcases. Well, why are you closing suitcase, Yogi?
Yeah.
Why are there towels in your suitcase?
It's like that joke your dad used to tell. Sequoia. Uh it was a these pants are like a cheap hotel. No ballroom.
Yeah.
I like that joke.
He had a lot of my dad Sequoia had all the yogiisms. He had his own yogiisms,
Uh-huh.
and people loved talking to him because he would come up with these things too.
All right,
Make you think.
we got six more, and then we can close off the podcast for the day.
Okay.
Little League Baseball is a very good thing because it keeps parents off the streets.
That's probably true.
Yeah, I walk in Prospect, of course, because of COVID. But a couple years ago, I'd walk in the summer, and they'd be having Little League games on the weekends. And
Uh-huh.
these parents were way crazier than the kids. They're
Uh-huh.
screaming at and these kids are not good, you know? I mean, we played competitive ball when we were young. Michael and I did. And
Uh-huh.
we were pretty good.
Uh-huh. You were good.
You take one look at these kids and you're like, these kids, they have no shot of making their high school team, let alone getting a college scholarship. And they're lousy. But the parents are foaming at the mouth. And these kids are 11, 12 years old, screaming at the umps, screaming at the other team, screaming at the coaches. And it's like, wow, it just doesn't matter. Your kids suck. Like, there's no future in this for them. Just let them go out there and have fun. It's not animosity. It's like, at that point, if you don't have what it takes to go to high school and play ball, or especially, go to college where there's actually some material benefit to your ball playing, like, I don't think you should be that rabid about. And it was never like, go out and do your best. It was always like, the ref is screwing us with bad balls and strikes calls. And it's like, the ump. And I think that teaches kids the wrong message. They grow up and they don't accept the results of things that are properly refereed. I think we're seeing that in society today.
Yep. The kids grow up. When they lose, they try to find someone to blame and a reason not to take the loss.
And it's the
They
umps.
just they just lost.
Mm-hmm.
They just lost. I think you're right.
The other team cheated, and the umps helped them do it. It wasn't our fault. It's like what was his earlier quote that you said applies to today? I tell the kids somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. Just don't fight about it. Just try to get better. That's
Yeah,
a good quote.
it's a great quote. Just get better. And I think also you got to learn how to win and learn how to lose, because that's going to help you in life.
Mm-hmm.
Learn how to win to complement the other team. Learn how to lose to try to get better. So I think, unfortunately, sports can be a very good teacher for Little League to teach them how to win, how to lose, to teach them how to get better. It can also be harmful,
Yeah.
you know, to watch your parents go ballistic on you.
Or go ballistic on some ump. He's making $20 for umping a game, and you act like he's got some sort of stake in it other than that. Should we do the last 5, 6?
Yeah.
Mickey Mantle was a very good golfer, but we weren't allowed to play golf during the season, only at spring training.
Okay.
Uh, you don't have to swing hard to hit a home run. If you got the timing, it'll go.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true
It's
in
true.
life too,
It's
right?
true in life. Sometimes it's all about the timing. It's not about being good. It's about the timing.
Being in the right place at the right time and pulling the trigger. You know,
And
if
doing
you
it.
keep that bat on your shoulder, you'll never hit a home run. So
That's right. That's right.
you got to swing, but you don't have to swing for the fences.
That's right.
Uh, I'm lucky. Usually you're dead to get your own museum, but I'm still alive to see mine.
Good job, Yogi.
I want to go to the Yogi Berra Museum once COVID's
I want to
over.
go. I
It's
want
in
to go.
it's in New Jersey.
I want to go to Jersey and see Yogi Berra's museum.
If I didn't make it in baseball, I wouldn't have made it working. I didn't like to work.
That's like Boog Powell says, we ain't athletes. We're
Ball
baseball.
players, yeah.
We're ball players.
Number 49. If the world were perfect, it wouldn't be.
If the world were perfect, it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the world.
Uh-huh.
It's saying what it is. It's right.
And then
That's profound, David.
that is profound. If the world were perfect, it wouldn't be the world. It wouldn't
That's
be.
right.
It wouldn't be perfect because it wouldn't be the world.
That's right.
The two can't
Wouldn't be.
exist in the same place at the same time.
That ain't the world. Hey, David, tell me the 50th one.
A lot of guys go, "Hey, Yog, say a yogiism." I tell them I don't know any. They want me to make one up. I don't make them up. I don't even know when I say it. They're the truth, and it's the truth. I don't know.
He says, hey, that's true. He doesn't make them up. He just says. He just talks. He just says it.
They just happen.
Yeah. Yeah. A yogiism is not what he creates. I mean, he doesn't try to make a yogiism. That's why they're so profound, because he's just talking. That's his personality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody has a personality. Don't try to be someone you're not. Be authentic. Be real. Be like Yogi. Just call it the way you see it. And I think that, and also be honest. And he was. And I think from that, then people can create their own yogiisms or your isms. If you're just being yourself, just be yourself.
I think that's a good lesson, and that's a good place to stop for the day.
I think so.
We discussed Yogi, and we talked about how he's the greatest philosopher of the 20th century. Went through some of his most memorable quotes. There's one more, though, that I want to say that they didn't include on this list. So can we do one more?
Yeah.
It's about theory and practice. I like this one.
Oh, yeah.
Yogi said, in theory, there's no difference between practice and theory. In practice, there is.
Now, the people who do it understand exactly what that means. That's true. It's so true. Looking on the outside in, you got to be there to say, yeah. I mean, you can talk about all the theory you want, but you just got to do it, man.
Well, I mean, I think a theoretical physicist arguing with an applied physicist would come to that same conclusion. I think a political theory teacher arguing with a city councilman would come to that same conclusion. You should have these ideals, but in practice, there's constraints of reality that make you compromise those ideals or sort of adopt a different set of ideals. So I think that the future ain't what it used to be. And although there's theoretically a perfect world, if the world were perfect, it wouldn't be. So we just got to keep on practicing to try to make it a better place, right?
And just be yourself.
Be yourself.
Be yourself. And just keep on practicing.
All right, let's wrap it up there.
Yeah, and keep on talking, but just listen more than you talk.
We'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.